5 shocking blunders that sank Hooters Air and burned $40 million. A Hooters plane flying the Hooters. When you think of it, you probably imagine chicken wings, beer, and the Hooters girls in their trademark orange shorts. But did you know that this popular restaurant chain once ventured into a whole new industry? That's right. Hooters started an airline, Hooters Air, and it crashed and burned in just 3 years, losing a whopping $40 million in the process. But it is shocking. How did a brand that thrives on novelty and attention make so many blunders? Let's take a closer look at 5 shocking mistakes that sank Hooters Air. Here is Hooters restaurant. Waiter serving chicken wings and a glass of beer. Before we dive in, let's talk about Hooters, the restaurant chain that turned into a cultural phenomenon. Founded on April Fool's Day in 1983, it became famous for its chicken wings, casual dining, and of course, the Hooters girls. Servers dressed in tight tank tops and short shorts. But in 2003, the brand's owner, Robert H. Brooks, decided to take things to the next level. What if Hooters could fly? Hooters airplane with Hooters on the side. And just like that, Hooters Air was born. But before we get into the details, here's how it all began. Here are the Pace Airlines aircrafts. I would like to bring to your notice that in December 2002, Brooks, the CEO of Hooters, acquired a small charter airline called Pace Airlines based in North Carolina. He then rebranded it and gave it a fresh coat of orange paint. The idea? To use the airline as a flying billboard for Hooters. The planes would be adorned with the Hooters logo, and the flight attendants would be servers from Hooters restaurants wearing the same iconic attire, short shorts and tight tank tops. Can you see the Hooters girls on the plane, smiling and waving to passengers? The airline launched in 2003, and initially it was a hit. Passengers flocked to the novelty of flying with the famous Hooters girls on board. But, despite the buzz, Hooters Air would face some shocking blunders that ultimately caused its downfall. Losing a whooping sum of $40 million is no joke. Therefore, there are few lessons to learn from all of these. Let's go. Blunder number 1. Rising operational costs fueling of the airplane. First up, rising operational costs. Well, at the outset, Hooters Air seemed like a fun and profitable idea. But as the airline took off, it quickly ran into the reality of soaring fuel prices and other operational expenses. Airplanes are expensive to operate, and when fuel prices spiked, Hooters Air was left struggling to keep up. Amazing as their Boeing 737 taking off, soaring through the clouds. Hooters pumped millions into acquiring and retrofitting aircraft, which only added to the financial burden. This would be the first major stumbling block for the airline. Blunder number 2. Intense competition from low-cost carriers. Stock footage of a low-cost airplane check-in counter. Hooters Air wasn't the only airline in town. The low-cost carrier market was booming at the time, with airlines like Southwest and JetBlue offering cheap, no-frills flights to major destinations. Hooters Air, with its novelty concept, was unable to compete with the efficiency and lower prices of these established carriers. Hooters airplane taking off to next to a JetBlue plane. Hooters couldn't keep up with the competition that offered better prices and more direct routes. They were stuck in the niche market of connecting smaller cities, and despite the fun branding, it wasn't enough to attract the volume needed to stay afloat. Blunder number 3. The Hooters brand and its limited appeal. Hooters restaurants with customers eating. Blunder number 4. The brand perception issues. Hooters was widely known for its adult-themed restaurant atmosphere, which, while successful in some areas, limited its appeal to a broader demographic. Families, business travelers, and others looking for a more traditional airline experience weren't too keen on the Hooters image. Hooters girls serving beers and wings to customers. The Hooters girls might have been the restaurant's selling point, but in the world of aviation, the brand's sexualized image created a barrier to appealing to all types of passengers. It wasn't enough to win over a diverse customer base. Blunder number 5. Regulatory challenges and lack of FAA certification. This is their airplane pilots and flight attendant in a cockpit. This regulatory challenge was a major disaster to their company. It is worth nothing that although the Hooters girls on board were part of the airline's charm, but they didn't have FAA certification. That meant they couldn't perform essential tasks like serving food or operating the flight attendant's duties. Instead, they spent their time selling Hooters merchandise and interacting with passengers. A flight attendant handing out snacks and Hooters girls selling merchandise. Without the ability to contribute to the airline's service in a meaningful way, Hooters girls became little more than a novelty act. Meanwhile, the airline struggled to meet the complex regulatory requirements that other airlines had mastered. Hooters airplane landing. Despite all the hype and initial success, these 5 blunders ultimately caused Hooters Air to shut down in 2006. Unfortunately, the airline was burned out in just 3 years, losing over $40 million in the process. Hooters Air's final flight, passengers waving out of the window. Hooters' dream of combining wings and wings failed to fly. The airline became a footnote in aviation history, a reminder that even the most outrageous ideas need a solid business plan to survive. Hooters restaurant, customers enjoying meals and drinks. Though Hooters Air may have crashed, the Hooters restaurant chain continues to serve its wings and cold beers around the world. As for the airline, well, let's just say it didn't have the wings to last. 5 shocking blunders, 40 million lost, and a lesson in how even the most fun ideas need more than just novelty to survive.